business relate to this? How does our publisher, THQ in this case, understand what we're trying to do with the game, and then how does that message then get out to the rest of the world? And I think key to this is communication, obviously communication, but it's like, I think it's not only difficult to bring the team together to support the single vision of the game, but also to then convey that vision to your publisher and then to convey the vision to the public. I think it helps to have great people back in your publisher who can support you and give you direction, and we're very lucky to have Steve. There's a few Blue-Tongue people here today as well, Graham and Kevin, who are continually supportive throughout the development process. But I think the core of making a game, particularly a new game, work is having everyone feel that they have some say in the development and the creation of that game. We do a lot of work, I think, internally to create communication strategies that make everyone feel that they have some say in the creative process of this game. I guess on a weekly basis, we have semi-formal meeting, which is our peer review on Friday. It's around about beer o'clock, but it's a moment where we all come together as a team, but we present features that we've developed during the week. And I'm sure this is things that most studios do, but I think the critical difference here is that we insist that people are looking at the game as players, as people that would be potentially spending, I don't know, we pay 70, 80 bucks for a game, and critiquing it and saying whether things work or they don't work. And within that, we create, I think, not only an interesting dynamic where people are encouraged to voice their opinion about a game in development and to think about the reasons that we make certain decisions in both design, technology, and art, but also to, I guess, strengthen the arguments around why we have taken certain design directions, what our core assumptions are, who the audience is that we're trying to address, and how we're trying to get that message across. And I think continually answering those questions and allowing people to contribute to the creative process makes for a mature, strong development team, but also allows you to sharpen that one critical explanation as to what the hell this game is, right? Because if you can't answer that question for yourselves, then you sure as hell can't answer it for other people outside. So, you know, I think the interesting thing about having a weekly get-together as players come developers is that we encourage people to throw out new suggestions, to point out things that don't work, and then we'll sit down and formalize that process. We make recommendations based on whether or not it's going to be an easy suggestion to implement, and then we try and get them implemented within the next 2 to 3 weeks. And so people actually see dynamic change based on their own feedback in the game, making, I think, I don't know, everyone feel like they've got some say in what's happening on screen. But I think also maintaining communication with your publisher is vitally important, particularly when it's something something new, something different. You want people to be confident that what you're doing is going to be commercially viable, not just an interesting thing for a development team to put together. So a lot of the effort in this game, once we had built up momentum as a development team, was then, I guess, evangelizing it internally, making people feel comfortable with the way that the game worked, explaining what the game was about, showing them cool visuals, cool screenshots, giving them builds regularly so that they can have a look at it. And so that it doesn't slide off the radar, because as much as we all, as developers, feel that our team is the center of the universe and the be-all and end-all of everything, we know that our publishers have a lot of games that they're trying to release every year, and you are competing for attention with other people. And it's not that I don't care about your game, but you just need to continually be reminding them that it's cool and interesting and good. And I think one of the things also we learned, and you know, I guess all of us have had that kind of inward groan about marketing before, about how, oh my God, what are they going to ask us to do next? But at the same time, I think it's critical to be listening to those people, right? Because they have, I guess, insight to things that we don't have insight to. And we had a lot of arguments throughout the development process. Some things they wanted us to do were completely ridiculous. And some things were great ideas. And because also marketing tends to do focus testing as early as possible to get feedback from people, I can't explain to you how important, particularly with something new like Blob, it was to get as much feedback as possible, because we're playing it ourselves and I guess on a weekly basis focus testing our own games, but until you actually get external opinions coming back to you and going, the fuck is this game, right? Why do I have to waggle a stick or press a button or do all these things that we have become used to? You really want to get that dynamic started early as possible. And so I think a lot of what made Blob succeed was not just having a great development team with a lot of passion, but also having people at every stage of the business actually being involved and giving you feedback and thinking about what needs to be done to drive it forward. So I guess that once you have the publishing side behind you, the next stage is how do we tell people in the world about this game, right? Because again, as much as we can sweat it down to an elevated pitch of it's a musical colouring book, what the hell is that, right? We really need to get people excited. And so I think the thing that then started to drive it forward was the thing that we had made the lowest priority early on in development, which was the fiction, which is the story, which is the thing that kind of everyone really wants to hear about in the game. What's the story? Who's the hero? What's he doing? Who's he fighting against? Those kinds of things. So marketing and PR kept on going, you know, when are we going to see something? When are we going to hear the story? And so we were up to our eyeballs in full production. We had very little resources remaining to be able to pull off and start to do things that we hadn't planned to do. So we contacted a fantastic animation team in South Australia. Sam is here today from People's Republic of Animation, and they helped us out at this point to actually put together a 90-second clip which explained the whole story of Blob, what it was about, narrative, gameplay. We have 5 minutes left, so I'm going to race through and we'll have a look at this exciting video right quickly. Is it our one? What have we got? Why did you do that?
Because I knew it would annoy you.
Okay, fantastic. All right. Well, we'll have a look at one piece that we put together, which was an in-game video, which was as yet not yet available. Gameplay instruction video, but I think one of the important things about that movie, and I do understand why we slotted it in there, was you know, this was actually the first one where we had defined the very sort of high-end rendering style that we wanted to do with all of the in-game movies. And so by the time we had this in place, we were able to talk to Sam and the rest of his team and say, we want to make something like this, it's going to be 90 seconds and it has to tell this story. And that was a really interesting exercise to actually have to explain to an external party, first and foremost, exactly what the game was about in a very short period of time. And Sam, you were very patient with us, and we thank you for the wonderful result that we got. Because, where is this video, Terry?
Come and see it at the booth.
Yeah, come and see it at the booth. There you go.
It's there.
All right, all right. Here we go. You should go and talk to this guy. Okay, well look, you know, I think we're approaching the end of the talk and there's a lot more that we could say, and I think we're going to have to sort of wrap it up. But let me just race through these last few slides in a really kind of abbreviated way. So obviously we shipped in September 2008, and it was the faith of Steve Dorman and the rest of THQ that gave us 2 time extensions. We had additional milestones. What we did was we logged production and we just polished the hell out of the game. We had the game finished at that point and we just added no new features.